And
just spending time with you this morning, looking at the production line, looking at the skill, a commitment that goes into each and every one of those bespoke cars that comes out of here.
Starmer bores the backside off factory workers.
Each of these offences, I impose a suspended sentence order of 18 months duration.
Free speech row. Joey Barton's given a suspended sentence for online posts. Plus, lockdown. Schools close due to the flu. Is your local school shut? And
getting bats and knives and stuff and doing what they're doing, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing things the right way.
Shameful. The former Royal Marine, acquitted of hate speech, is banned from coaching his daughter's football team because he's right-wing. Also,
I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff.
victory for Harry. You might be paying for his security after all. On my panel tonight, we've got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We've also got Labour councillor Sebastian Salek and Reform member, former Tory party chairman Sir Jake Berry. And
today I feel gay.
well, you won't believe which two countries are playing in the FIFA World Cup Pride match. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. If you're having a bad Monday, spare a thought for Sir Keir Starmer. Next.
Very good evening to you. 2 minutes past 9 here in the GB newsroom. Our headlines. European leaders say they've made progress on using frozen Russian assets to support Ukraine's reconstruction. The comments came after Sir Keir Starmer hosted President Zelensky and the leaders of Germany and France at Downing Street. They also highlighted Ukraine's need for robust security guarantees against further Russian aggression. The discussions follow US efforts to push through a peace deal, which critics say closely resembles Russia's demands. Well, Mr Zelensky has now left Downing Street. He's travelling to Brussels to meet NATO and EU officials. More than £180 billion worth of Russian assets have been frozen in European banks since Vladimir Putin launched his invasion in 2022. Two 17-year-old Afghan asylum seekers have been detained for the rape of a teenage girl in May. Yan Yahanzib was given 10 years and 8 months. Israr Niazal was sentenced to 9 years and 10 months for the attack, which took place in Leamington Spa. The court heard the pair led a highly distressed 15-year-old victim into a secluded parkland area before attacking her. The judge at Warwick Crown Court earlier lifted restrictions protecting their identities because it could lead to speculation, which might see innocent people being targeted. A nurse who objected to sharing a female changing room with a transgender doctor has won part of her employment tribunal. Sandy Peggy was suspended from her job in Kirkcaldy after complaining about Dr Beth Upton, a biological male who identifies as a woman. She was placed on special leave after the doctor made allegations against her. The tribunal upheld Ms Peggy's claim for harassment against NHS Fife, but other allegations of discrimination and victimisation were dismissed. 2 more people have been arrested following a pepper spray incident at London's Heathrow Airport. It took place yesterday morning when a woman was robbed of her suitcase in a multi-storey car park at Terminal 3. A 24-year-old man and a 23-year-old woman have been arrested today. That's in addition to the 31-year-old man arrested yesterday on suspicion of robbery and assault. Approximately 90,000 people in Japan have been told to evacuate after a large earthquake off the northeastern coast triggered a tsunami warning. The country's meteorological agency initially warned that the 7.6 magnitude quake could lead to waves of up to 10 feet high, but that's since been downgraded, although the country has suffered 3 further earthquakes since the initial one hit. Japan's Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, says a response team has been established to assess the damage and assist evacuation efforts. They've confirmed 13 people have been hurt. 1 has sustained serious injuries. Finally, heavy rain and flooding, which could bring a possible danger to life, has been forecast as Storm Bram hits the UK. Amber warnings have been issued by the Met Office for large areas of South Wales and Cornwall From midnight to 10 a.m. on Tuesday, up to 100 millimetres of rain is expected to hit some western areas, with risks of flooding, travel disruption, power cuts and large coastal waves. So wherever you are, batten down the hatches and look after yourself. That's it for the moment. Now back to Patrick.
Good evening. Now, if you think you're having a bad Monday, just spare a thought for Sir Keir Starmer. He started the day by boring the backside off workers at the McLaren factory.
Just spending time with you this morning, looking at the production line, looking at the skill, a commitment that goes into each and every one of those bespoke cars that comes out of here is incredible to see. And I find it really uplifting. You, I hope, must find it uplifting to work here and to be part of what is going on here, because this is high-grade, high-skilled, fantastic work.
Well, it brought back echoes of Rachel Reeves' time at a factory in Manchester.
The lifeblood of growth and therefore of living standards. The single greatest barrier that businesses told me was standing in their way. And put simply, our plan, the central barrier to economic growth has been underinvestment. The two recent numbers showed Britain to be the fastest growing economy in the G7, while young people are presented with a choice.
Yeah, so Starmer's own team then put out still images of the event, which included this from his own minister, Pat McFadden. You see, well, there he is. As it zooms in, his eyes are just rolling into the back of his head, desperately wishing he could be anywhere else. Grief. Then, later this morning, Starmer announced that he had joined TikTok.
TikTok, follow me.
Slight problem, TikTok is banned from ministerial devices because of massive cybersecurity concerns. It also allowed the Conservatives to take the absolute mick.
TikTok, follow me.
Have you lost control of your MPs, Prime Minister?
Hello. I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The return of the sausages. Big Seven. Yeah.
Lord Mandelson, friendship with paedophile and sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein.
With AI, think of it as like a fork. We will not raise tax. No tax rises.
26 billion more in tax rises, highest ever level.
Also this morning, it turned out that the think tank that backed Sir Keir Starmer, Labour Together, is now actively canvassing Labour voters on who should replace him. And the options include Angela Rayner. Yep, that's right. There you go. In recent weeks, sources close to her have been forced to deny that she's actually been helping to plot Sir Keir Starmer's demise. Now, he's obviously feeling so threatened by Rayner that he's done an interview published in The Observer saying that he now wants her back in his cabinet. Pretty embarrassing stuff, this. Then later in the day, Kemi Badenoch pointed out the bleeding obvious about the grooming gangs inquiry.
It's been 6 months since the Prime Minister accepted the need to hold a grooming gangs inquiry. I believe that this issue needs a lot of political courage, which the government is currently lacking. Nothing has happened. 2 potential chairs have been rejected. Survivors have left the government's panel.
And then it emerged today that the employment market is at a 14-year low, directly because of decisions that Starmer's Labour government has made, making it less likely for employers to hire people and much more likely for them to cut jobs. Other headlines today include his Justice Secretary David Lammy being accused of using rape victims to force through the scrapping of jury trials. His Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, is being told to stop letting doctors give puberty blockers to kids. And there are warnings that Labour's new Islamophobia definition will actually harm women's rights. So he's got off to a flyer this week. Now, with the start to the week that he's having, I think it's really important that we keep Starmer away from any high-level meetings that could lead to the start of World War III.
Any territory to Russia. Do you trust President Trump's team in these talks? Are you being pushed into a fast-paced deal by the Americans? What's your message to President Putin?
No, just get him out of there. Get him out of there. We'll all be sent to the Eastern Front within days. Anyway, let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, we've got Reform member, former Tory Party chairman Sir Jake Berry, and Labour councillor Sebastian Salek. Right, OK, so, yeah, not the best start to the week for Sir Keir, Carol.
No, I mean, he did this interview, didn't he, in The Observer at the weekend about Angela Rayner. I mean, that cracked me up, that. He misses her huge talents. Could somebody write them down for me? Because I'd really like to know what Angela Rayner's huge talents are. But, you know, he was saying things like, you know, I miss her and I'm so sad to see her go. He's talking about like she had an illness and had to leave work. She was a tax dodger. She dodged 40 grand in stamp duty. And 3 months later, this was bad enough for her to have to resign from government. 3 months later, he wants her back. And he's pretending it's because he loves her and she's very talented. It's not. It's because he knows she's plotting against him to take his job. And so she thinks if she gets him back into the cabinet, she's going to shore him up. She's not. All he's done is expose himself as weak and terrified. And Starmer will crush him. God almighty. And Rayner will crush him now, having seen his weakness. But why would you crawl to somebody? You know, we all knew when they were together in government, they didn't get on. They really didn't like each other. And you saw them in public sometimes, they weren't talking. And now he's pretending that she's this fabulous person, but she's actually a tax dodger.
Right, OK. Well, Jake, I mean, when it comes to the pictures of him, I mean, I'm not sure we've got the... We'll play a bit of a clip over this while we talk, hopefully. Why do they keep sending people like Sir Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves, any politician, in fact, you know, to places where they just get these factory workers to stand behind them? And just they always look miserable. They always look miserable. It's a gift, isn't it, for people like me? You know, why do it?
It's a week before Christmas. We're probably there thinking, oh, you know, we wish we were at the Christmas party rather than here. Look, the truth is the public have made their mind up about Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves. I don't think his position is recoverable. I think it's very likely, you know, despite all these overtures to Angela Rayner, that the Labour Party is going to get rid of him middle of next year. I think it could be as early as January. Yeah. He just has no charisma. In fact, what made me laugh is when you put the picture of him turning the Christmas lights on. Do you remember him doing it last year? Well, yeah. They put a crowd in with him this year. Last year it was 3, 2, 1, yay! And he turned it on. I mean, he just is absolutely terrible. And that will be fine because we're Brits and we can have a bit of a laugh at ourselves if he wasn't doing such huge damage with Rachel Reeves to the country. And that is really unforgivable.
Well, Sebastian, what do you make of this? I mean, one of the other aspects, the kind of basket of stuff there, I suppose, that the Labour Together think tank now appear to be actively canvassing Labour members about who should replace him, one of those options being Angela Rayner. Not a great look, considering that they actually endorsed Keir Starmer. I think actually Morgan McSweeney, who's now his chief advisor, was a major player at Labour Together. In the run-up to the last election, he was the chairman of it. So not necessarily a great look for him today either, is it, I suppose?
Yeah, on the surface it looks really weird. It's not entirely clear what's going on, but the answer is quite simple. They are trying to solve the problem that it's really hard to accurately poll members of the Labour Party. You just don't have very good data and very reliable data on that. And so they're trying to build out this panel to do that. As part of that, you have to benchmark your results with what you're getting from existing polling. And the kind of questions that are already being asked are questions like that. So it's just about matching it to what's already out there to fine-tune that model and make sure that they can read in. And this is data, by the way, that's going to be shared with Number 10. It's going to help them make better decisions.
Let's see.
So
Why don't they publish it then?
Yes.
They're going to.
No, I don't think they are.
They're going to share it with Number 10.
And why don't they publish it so all of us can see it, who the people in Labour Together would like to be the next leader? I mean, what do you do with a problem like Sir Keir, one wants to say? I mean, he is in such a mess. Labour Together, which were absolutely... That is worth a laugh, Patrick. I thought it was quite a good line.
No, thank you. Cheers. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go on, carry on.
But he is in such trouble, this group which funnelled tens of thousands of pounds into his leadership have now completely abandoned him. Look, I've been around political parties when I was in the Conservative Party that did regicide after regicide after regicide, killing off our own Prime Minister. This is exactly what it looks like.
What makes you think they've abandoned him?
Well, the fact that they are asking their members who they think would be best to replace him.
I've just explained why.
No, but... Well, you might have explained why, but and that's your vision of what.
No, it's not my vision.
But
I'm telling you, that's what they're doing.
They're asking about who would be the next Prime Minister.
Why do they even need to ask the question?
I've just explained it because you benchmark it to existing questions to match how well your model's performing.
But if
That's
he
how
was
polling
safe
works.
and secure in his job, they don't even need to benchmark it, do they?
Well, of course they do.
Because how your model is performing, what on earth does that mean?
OK, so you put together a way of polling people. You have to test that way of polling people against what's already out there.
Talking to members.
Yes, and historically, that has not been very accurate. I'm sorry, this is really boring stuff, but it's important.
It doesn't make sense either.
Why not? What's unclear? I can clear it up, hopefully.
Because I'm stupid, yeah?
No, not at all. It's complicated stuff. I didn't understand it either until this morning.
When you talk about what you just talked about, no one watching this would understand what you're saying either, because you're talking about models and stuff.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's complicated stuff.
OK, but the bottom line is they're doing this because... Are you seriously saying that the Labour Party is happy with Keir Starmer's performance? Are you actually saying that that's what that's...
I'm just explaining to you what Labour Together is doing. Patrick asked me and I explained.
That is complete and utter. That's maybe why they say they're doing it. The only reason that they need to benchmark it, or even ask the question in the first place, is because he has been a complete and utter disaster. If he was safe and secure in his job, no one, Labour Together or anywhere else, would care about how you poll the Labour Party when it comes to replacing the leader.
You should poll the Labour Party on all sorts of things, because they are going to be bringing bill after bill, and we have to know how it stands with the party. We saw how that went down on welfare. It didn't go well, did it?
But they're not asking for people's view on welfare. That would be reasonable to benchmark.
You don't know that.
They're not asking for people's view
you
on
say that
inheritance
with great
tax.
amounts of confidence.
They're asking for people's view on who they would like to replace Keir Starmer. The only reason you need to benchmark that is because you think it's very likely to happen. I'm sure you'd admit.
Benchmark what?
People's view on who they would like to replace the current Prime Minister.
So they're benchmarking the entire model, not just that specific question. The reason they're asking that question, and I'm sorry I'm repeating myself here, is because it's data that's already out there that you can then match it to.
The only thing I would say is that may be true. I don't know. I'm certainly not calling you a liar at all. I'm trying to think how any of us would feel and how I would feel personally if I found out that GBNews...
Have you not?
Did you not know?
About who... Yeah, you get the poll, you get the email you gave me about, who would be best to replace Patrick Christys 9 to 11 p.m, Monday to Friday. I think I'd see that. I'd be like, lads, is there anything I should be aware of? But anyway, well, look, we're part of that because one of the other aspects to this kind of basket of news that came out today, of course, is TikTok. He's going to be on TikTok. God. He's now got a new Substack as well. I fear... Well, firstly, he can't be doing it himself, we know, because, firstly, he's probably not got the time, but secondly, because he's not allowed to use TikTok on his own phone. So someone else who's not got a ministerial phone is going to have to be doing it. You do also need someone, I think, with a little bit of charisma to actually do quite well on TikTok, and I'm not sure he's necessarily...
He's the most wooden man in politics, and they're going to try and put him on a platform where wooden is going to kill him. It's supposed to be for him to connect with more people. It's going to do the polar opposite, because it's going to give him... It's going to showcase him in a way that's going to make him look stupid. He can't even walk out of Downing Street without falling over the step. He missteps every day of the week, saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, and this is just going to amplify everything that's bad about him.
Well, what do you think about this TikTok intervention? Is it just kind of flogging a dead horse here? Or
in principle, really good idea, right? You've got to move with the times. You've got to be where your voters are. Nigel Farage, for his credit, has been really good at this. He's built up a huge following, and it's right that Starmer's doing the same. You've got to put out content that's native to the platform, though. You've got to understand the platform. I know Labour have hired a lot of digital people recently. I just hope that they can create content that is going to resonate with people.
And give him a personality, which is going to be really difficult.
Well, one of the things that started for me, and obviously we did a show last week on Thursday from Merthyr Tydfil in Wales, a seat that's been Labour for basically 100 years. Keir Hardie's former seat, founder of the Labour Party, the bloke that apparently Keir Starmer was supposedly named after. One thing I was very surprised about there was because all the polling shows that at the moment that's going to go Reform, so we'll see what happens there. It's a long way off. However, we actually did tell the Labour Party that we were going there, we were going to do a show there, and we were going to do it from a specific social club, working man's club, in the evening. And the Labour MP for the area is supposedly, well, we were told, is a member of that working man's club. And we gave him several weeks' notice that we were going to go and do that, and we were thinking that he would maybe turn up, or 20 of his mates from the area would, so that in this club, there would be a strong show of Labour backing. And none of them turned up, none of them. We couldn't really get a hold of anyone who wanted to come. It culminated in me trying to find balance at the show walking around a Wetherspoons in Merthyr Tydfil at one point in the day, just asking anyone there if you voted Labour. There's one bloke who interrupted his lunch and said, yeah, I'm going to vote Labour. I said, right, great, can you come outside and talk to me for a few minutes about why? And he said yes, and obviously we let him talk and he gave his reasons, etc. But that to me just looked like, if that is one of Labour's supposedly safest seats, you know, why on earth would they not have been organised enough to have put someone or put people up to talk and even just plant members of the public in there that you know are Labour? I just thought that said quite a lot about the current kind of state of play.
Surely you must hear people every day. I mean, we hear people every day, lifelong Labour voters, who are saying they are so disappointed with this man, so gutted that they will never vote Labour again. This is people who voted Labour for 40, 50 years, and they're never going to do it again because of Keir Starmer.
I hear all sorts. People said the same about Blair, and it turned out pretty well for him in the end.
Do you not hear this about Starmer?
I hear all sorts.
So that's
I hear literally every permutation of a political opinion. I've heard it. I access Twitter like everyone else.
But Unite the Union is potentially talking about disaffiliating from the Labour Party. So some of their strongest supporters, the Labour Party was formed out of the trade union movement, some of their strongest supporters are thinking of withdrawing support because it's such a
That's been a theme for years. Unite are always making those noises because it shores up their position.
Do you actually think Keir Starmer's good?
Of course I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I believe in that
You
project.
should go on holiday to Merthyr. You should go to Merthyr Tydfil. You should go to Merthyr Tydfil.
My life would have been a lot easier at Merthyr Tydfil if you'd have been there, actually.
Anytime.
Absolutely, yeah, next time. OK, right, look, speaking to The Times, the Ministry of Justice described claims that David Lammy used rape victims to push through his jewellery trial reforms as, quote, completely misleading. They added that the Justice Secretary has been clear that justice delayed is justice denied, and it's unacceptable that 60% of victims who report rape drop out of the criminal justice system. Court delays are a crucial factor in discouraging people from seeking justice at all stages. This is attested to by victims and victims groups. I also imagine that if Angela Rayner was here tonight, she would say that she is not, in fact, a tax dodger. But there we go. Right, so we've got loads more coming your way. A fascinating story, this, about Joey Barton. I'm sure you've all seen it, but we're going to get to that very shortly because I want to tell you about the latest Great British giveaway. It's your chance to win the biggest cash prize today. It's £85,000. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
This is your chance to become our biggest cash prize winner to date with an incredible £85,000 to be won. That's right, £85,000 in totally tax-free cash could be making its way from our bank account to yours. It would be like having over £7,000 per month extra to play with each month for a whole year. That could be you, with your feet up, safe in the knowledge that 2026 is on us. £85,000 is a massive amount of money, and it could be yours. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, so singing banned, assemblies cancelled, masks on pupils sent home. Are schools now completely overreacting? There's lockdowns, apparently. Is your local school in lockdown because of the flu? But first...
Each of these offences, I impose a suspended sentence order of 18 months duration.
Former footballer Joey Barton was handed a suspended sentence for offensive social media posts about the broadcaster Jeremy Vine and pundits Lucy Ward and Eni Aluko. But did he deserve such a harsh sentence? That's next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. So these two vile, illegal Afghan migrants raped a 15-year-old girl just months after they broke into Britain. But the barristers for those two monsters did not want them to be named. They didn't even want the fact that they were illegal migrants to be revealed. Why? Because they said that they worried that it could stoke civil unrest. It wasn't in the public interest. It's an absolutely horrifying case. I've got all the details for you because actually it turns out that we do have a right to tell you this stuff and you have a right to know about it. So all of that is coming your way at 10 p.m. But first, did Joey Barton deserve such a harsh sentence for his social media posts? It's time for the head-to-head. Well, this divides people a lot. So the former footballer, Joey Barton, has been handed a 6-month suspended sentence for, quote, offensive social media posts. A judge ruled crossed the line from freedom of expression into vilification and false accusation. Now, between January and March last year, the ex-Newcastle midfielder falsely accused the broadcaster Jeremy Vine of being a paedophile. Look, we can't use the terminology he used here, OK? And it makes it quite difficult to articulate to you exactly what he said and the way that he said it, but I think most people have probably seen it, so we'll leave it at that. He also compared the football pundits Lucy Ward and Annie Aluko to being like Fred and Rose West when it came to broadcasting, two of course, Britain's most notorious serial killers. Now, look, tonight I'm asking, did the footballer deserve such a harsh sentence for offensive social media posts? And friends of GB News can actually vote on this very question if you go to my You Decide poll by scanning the QR code on the screen right now. I'll bring you the results very soon. Going head-to-head on this now are journalist and free speech campaigner Candice Holdsworth and the chair of Communities Against Violence, Ken Hines. Candice, I'll bring you in to start with you. Hello, both of you. Candice, I'll start with you. Do you think that Joey Barton deserved to have such a harsh sentence for What he will argue probably are whilst offensive, you know, they were meant as jokey online posts.
Well, yes, exactly. I mean, that's what I would say. I don't think he deserved it at all. I don't think it should go to court. I thought the act under which he was prosecuted, the Malicious Communications Act, was not designed for our social media era, where we sort of have this very rambunctious town square. I mean, it was just an unfunny, not particularly witty comment. He's just trying to get the attention of his followers. I know that the people who he directed it at said it caused them distress, but for me, that is such a subjective measure, because I can tell you a lot of people would just mute him and shrug it off. All there'll be people who'll give it back to him just as hard. So I don't really see how you can apply a consistent legal standard on this unless you're expecting judges to operate on such a micro scale that I don't think we can say we live in a free society. Then we're in a very authoritarian society.
Yeah, OK, so let's just deal with the matter at hand first, Ken, before we broaden it out a little bit. You do think that Joey Barton deserved to have a 6-month prison sentence suspended for 18 months? Can you do?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you why. Particularly the platform that he sits on, you know, and his experience. He played football at the highest level. That means that he's accustomed to actually having that public face. He should know that words matter. Yes, the simple fact that what he's done here is very hurtful and very impactful emotionally on the people who he targeted. Now, Joey's got a big platform, a massive platform. All it takes is one or two loose cannons to take that to another level, because nobody not everyone does their due diligence to see what is right and what isn't. Really and truly, he should be disappointed with himself, even though he expressed some regret through his QC. That's still not good enough for me, because he has to do some work on himself. The simple fact that he's called a bad day at the office, I'm wondering what else is going on in that man's head. Because to come out, have a platform like that, be privileged from a privileged position, and then to use it to put out that vileness, it's very disappointing.
Well, one thing I will say is that the kind of disregarding the Jeremy Vine comments, there were other comments that he made about Lucy Ward and Annie Aluko. He also superimposed a picture, I believe, of their faces over Fred and Rose West. And that was deemed grossly offensive, apparently, by jurors. I mean, I was just looking at this, OK, all right, it's offensive, but, I mean, Candice, is this stuff really criminal?
No.
Look,
I don't believe it is. I think that we've got to the point...
Sorry, Ken, we'll go Candice and I'll come back to you, mate, all right.
Yes.
I think
would say...
Ken, I'm going to go to Candice first. I'm going to go to Candice first.
Definitely cross the line.
You've had your chance. My turn now.
Please, you're going to have your space.
Stop interrupting.
You will have your space. It definitely crossed the line into criminality. Simple fact is, words matter. Words, people act on words. People can get hurt. People have got psychological damage that goes far beyond just today. And if we don't pay attention to that, as I said, we're going to go down that slippery road. OK, right, Candice, sorry, I'm going to bring Candice in. And Candice, I'm going to give you the double whammy. So that question I originally asked you, which is it criminal? The other thing I will say, and I just want to draw attention to this, because people have been pointing this out online. Hugh Edwards, for example, had a 6-month jail term suspended for 2 years. He pled guilty to 3 charges of making indecent images of children, which I think most people would regard as being significantly worse than what Joey Barton did, and yet he received a very, very similar sentence. Does that seem a bit odd, Candice?
Yeah, we've seen that. I mean, even to address your second question, we've seen that. We even saw it with the riots last year. You got people who got heavier sentences for speech than for actual action, actually in person, physically menacing someone, which I think, according to common sense, most people would say is worse. To address the previous comment, what you're talking about is so subjective, and you're also talking about the realm of the possible, that someone could get hurt, or, you know, someone could get psychological damage from that. That is not what the law is for. The law is to deal with the real and the empirical and what can be measured. All of these things that you've mentioned are completely subjective. I can tell you they are completely subjective. There are many people who, if Joey Barton said those things to him, they wouldn't react at all. They wouldn't be bothered by it at all.
All right. Okay. Well, there we go.
Stalkers. We do have people who come stalking, and that is very serious.
Okay.
It starts off with a little joke, and it gets a lot more serious going down the line.
All right.
Stalking.
Okay.
Stalking is
All right.
different.
Well, proper head-to-head, though. Thank you very, very much. That is the Chair of Community Against Violence, Ken Hines. We've also got journalist and free speech campaigner Candice Holdsworth. So who do you agree with? Did Joey Barton deserve such a harsh sentence for his social media post? Well, friends of GB News have been voting. Let's have a look. The results have been 21% of you said yes, 79% of you said no, apparently. Well, there you go. That's your views count, don't they? Coming up...
I don't know how much longer my father has. You know, he won't speak to me because of this security stuff.
Well, it looks like you could be paying for Prince Harry's security after all. But before that, singing banned, assemblies cancelled, masks on, pupils sent home. No, this is not a news report from several years ago. Schools are in lockdown again. But find out why and find out if your local school is one of them.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The unsettled conditions arriving across the UK tomorrow will also be influencing other western areas of the Mediterranean. In fact, the rain band will extend all the way down into parts of northwestern Spain, Portugal and Madeira. Central areas of the Mediterranean, though, faring off best with some fairly decent fine and calm conditions, but we do have further showers across the far east, particularly around areas of Cyprus. For many areas, though, the week ahead does look generally dry and sunny.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. For the next 24 to 36 hours, Storm Bram is likely to cause some problems. We have warnings in place for both wind and heavy rainfall. The storm system still down to the southwest. It's been intensifying all through the day, and the rain already setting in across the southwest of England, spreading up into parts of Wales. We've had a lot of rain here recently, so this extra rainfall, we could see 100 millimetres more rain falling over the hills, is likely to cause some problems, potential for some flooding. Warnings extending further north as the rain pushes further north. Most areas turning wet by morning time. It's going to be a pretty warm night across the south and increasingly windy. So warnings in place for Tuesday for both wind and rain as this weather system steadily pushes northwards. The rain may actually start to ease across some parts of the south, but further heavy pulses over the hills of southwest England and South Wales likely to cause further issues. An awful lot of rain falling over northern England, southern Scotland for that morning rush hour. So that is likely to cause a lot of spray, a lot of surface water. And then the winds really start to strengthen. I mean, they'll pick up tonight around the coast of Wales and southwest England, but strengthening further during Tuesday. You can see the swirl, that's the low pressure, that is Storm Bram, bringing particularly gusty winds through Tuesday afternoon over Northern Ireland and then strengthening into the evening over western parts of Scotland. We'll see something a bit drier developing over parts of England and Wales, maybe even some sunny spells, and the temperatures up into 15, 16 degrees, but obviously not feeling all that mild with the rain and those winds, which probably peak in the northwest of Scotland during Tuesday evening. That's why we've got an amber warning in place here. Damaging gusts of wind 70, 80, perhaps 90 miles an hour, likely to cause some disruption. The potential for power issues, strong winds across much of northern Britain through Tuesday evening as well. For the full details of all of those weather warnings, visit the Met Office website.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation,
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
and each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce,
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. So, barristers for the 2 illegal Afghan migrants you're looking at on your screens right now tried to impose reporting restrictions so that we couldn't name these 2, we couldn't say where they were from, and we couldn't say that they were, in fact, illegal small boat migrants. Those men have been found guilty or pleaded guilty to raping a child just months after they broke into Britain. I've got the full horrific details of that case, but I also can't help but say, thankfully, in this case, the judge decided that we could name them, we could report on it. But how many other cases have there been where judges have decided that we can't? And it does make you think, doesn't it? But I've got the full details at 10 p.m. First, though, in a move reminiscent of the dark days of the COVID pandemic, schools across the UK have gone into lockdown to stop a mutant strain of flu from ripping through classrooms ahead of Christmas. 3 schools shut for several days last week after head teachers ordered firebreak-style closures, a measure used during the pandemic. Other schools have introduced measures to limit the spread. They've cancelled singing in assemblies. Public health experts have even recommended that people should start wearing masks again. They've done all sorts of stuff, you know, social distancing in classes. I mean, it's just remarkable stuff, this. I'm joined now by GB News health editor Lucy Johnston. Lucy, just first things first, do you think schools are overreacting a bit here?
Well, we've just had the COVID inquiry and they were very clear that this shutting down schools, stopping children from going to their education, put childhood to a close. It had huge amount of damage to them. Children need to build up their own immunity to diseases. We have lived with diseases for millennia. There is no evidence that shutting schools slowed or stopped the spread of COVID, and it's very, very harmful. And it's really based on the fact that people are getting very excited about the fact that we have a flu outbreak this year that has apparently started earlier than most years. So it's not any higher, but we're getting all these figures saying record numbers, people need to wear masks. Again, there's no good quality evidence that masks have any significant effect on slowing the spread of respiratory viruses. We know that. Even the UK Health Security Agency said that last year. So it seems incredible that we're going back over this again. We don't know that any of this stuff works, and we do know that it's harmful. It seems incredible as well that every year we have a flu outbreak, and every year people go to hospital, and every year people die, but we panic and we can't cope with it. We have people that are blocked in hospital, they can't leave because there's no good social care in the community. We have people that actually pick up influenza or flu-like illness in hospital because of poor infection control. But just like Tesco's or Sainsbury's or Selfridges, you know Christmas is coming, so you prepare for it. We know there's going to be respiratory viruses coming at Christmas, coming around winter, and other viruses too, and we're more susceptible to them. It's not that it's not dangerous for some people, older people are at risk, but we need to start preparing and not panicking.
But exactly, it's like, here we go again. You know, and so there's the schools in Leeds, some in Cheshire, and in Wales as well have been affected by these firebreak lockdowns. But again, it's like the kind of Scotch egg thing. Do you remember when we had that? You know, you're allowed to go in a pub, but only if you're eating a Scotch egg or whatever it was. So we'll have the assembly, but you're not allowed to sing. You can't sing in the assembly. It's like we've learned nothing, Lucy, isn't it?
Well, interestingly, the singing idea was based on a flawed study. So there was a choir practice in America where some scientists said, well, this was a super spreader event. It was re-looked at after that and was found that the infection, it was COVID at the time, had already spread among the community, and it has been debunked. But still people think singing is particularly a dangerous thing. Well, children may, if they don't sing in assembly, they're still going to be playing in the playground or meeting out in wherever or going to each other's houses. To stop them singing, singing is a healthy thing to do. It's good for all sorts of reasons. It just seems to be we have learnt nothing from, we don't know what works, what didn't work, but we're just imposing things anyway, just to do something. But actually what's broken really is the health system. It's not the influenza and the viruses that are a problem. We've had them for years and years and years. The worst, I think, that in memory was around 1999, 48,000 excess deaths that year, not just from influenza, but a lot of them. So we have it every year. It's been going on for decades. And we shouldn't be panicking in this way and depriving children of an education and putting masks on people, which is harmful to people who are deaf, people who are neurodiverse, people who have asthma. Bad for communication, and it's bad for society. So if we know that the evidence doesn't show that they are effective, why are we doing this?
Well, Lucy, thank you very, very much. It's always a pleasure to see and speak to you. It's Lucy Johnson there, who's GBNews Health and Science Editor. I wonder what you would make of this at home if you get that letter or phone call or whatever it is to say that your child's school has just gone into a firebreak, a lockdown because of flu. I don't know. Maybe some of you will be in favour of it. I don't know. Anyway, coming up at 10 p.m, very serious story this. 2 illegal Afghan migrants were sentenced today for raping a 15-year-old girl just months after they arrived in the UK by a small boat. But the additional kicker to that story is the fact that we very nearly were not allowed to tell you about it. First, though,
I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff.
Prince Harry is one step closer to spending more time in the UK. It turns out you might be paying for his security after all. I'll reveal all next.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
GBNews, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GBNews family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because the failure is you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show Live, every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Now, Prince Harry has won himself a major victory in long-running battle over his security arrangements when he visits the UK. The Duke of Sussex originally lost his right to taxpayer-funded police protection when he stood down as a working royal back in 2020, and in May, he then lost a legal challenge against the decision. However, after Harry wrote a letter to the Home Secretary in October, the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, which is responsible for deciding on protection matters, will now reassess his threat level. Interesting stuff. I'm joined now by the royal journalist and commentator, Jenny Bond. Jenny, thank you very much. What did you make of this then? So the situation has changed. What has changed other than the government?
I think what has changed is that the persistence of Harry has finally borne some fruit, and I think it's quite right. I think Harry is correct to say, why should I not be afforded protection when I come back to the UK? When, let us say, former Prime Ministers, Liz Truss, for example, who served for 49 days, longer, shorter, some say, than a lettuce will last, she is afforded protection for the rest of her life. There are 8 former Prime Ministers, and the bill for protecting them, some of them round the clock, is about £12 million a year of taxpayers' money. And Harry has argued, and I think very persuasively, that he should be afforded that same level of protection when he comes back to the UK. It's probably not going to be very often. It's probably not going to be very expensive. But he is the King's son. He can't do anything about that. He has fought in Afghanistan. That is a matter of record. And I think he is entirely correct in this.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say is that there was that quite infamous Ring doorbell footage of him, wasn't there, as he was rampaging through Fulham. And he didn't seem to have any security with him then. He didn't seem to need any security with him then. So if he's capable of doing that, why are we now having to, probably, as this will inevitably turn out, I'd imagine, why are we going to have to foot the bill for his security going forward?
Well, it's more about bringing his family back here. I suppose he has proved that he's willing to put his own life at risk. And yes, perhaps a little foolhardy to go ringing doorbells. However, he wants to bring his children at least back. He has said that he wants to show them their heritage, and he wants to show his kids to his father. So it's more about the family than his own safety. And I believe him on that. You know, I think we should
the Netflix money, though, Jenny? The Netflix money, you know, all of the stuff that he's got, can he not afford his own security?
Yes, of course he does. And he brings his own bodyguards across from the States, but they cannot carry arms. And also, they are not privy to the kind of intelligence that the UK authorities are privy to. That's his main point. And I think that's a very valid one.
Fair enough. All right, OK. So, moving us on slightly, because the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan, has reportedly been personally ringing round hospitals across the Philippines in an attempt to track down her estranged father. He's had significant surgery. He's lost a leg. I think he's, you know, by all accounts, in an incredibly bad way. She's trying to locate him personally. The thing I wondered about this is it says that she obviously does not have her dad's number, does she?
Well, from what we understand, and I think here, Patrick, we should try to deal in facts. And the fact, as I know it, is that you don't know and I don't know the truth of this. We hear that she has sent an email. We hear through her people that they believe it was sent to the wrong address. Yes, of course, you should know your dad's email, but apparently he doesn't use email anymore. We know that they are estranged. That is a fact. We know that her people say she has tried to contact him. We know that his people and the hospital say they haven't received any kind of notification from her, any message from her. That's really as far as it goes. And I think we should not go on castigating her in what is a very complicated family situation. And I hope she has reached out, in that awful American term, to her father, who is clearly quite sick.
Yeah, no, look, you know, I hope she does get in touch with him. Obviously, I hope he makes full recovery as well, by the way, I should say. And it must be a desperately sad situation. I just think a lot of people are thinking, you know, how the heck can't you get in touch with your dad? You know, and is there no one in her family at all who will be able to say to her, this is how you get in touch with your dad? I just find that bizarre.
I know I find it bizarre too, but in a completely different arena, I've spoken to parents who are estranged from their children and vice versa. And it's not always easy to track people down. You know, it really isn't. I think we should accept at face value that she has sent an email. And also, I think that if there's been further communication, that it will be perhaps private. And you don't know about it, and I don't know about it either.
Well, Jenny, thank you very much. Always a pleasure, especially in such a regal room. I would expect nothing less from you. It's brilliant. Jenny Bond there, fantastic. Right, look, coming up, very serious story this. 2 illegal Afghan migrants were sentenced today for raping a girl, but we weren't supposed to know who they were or where they're from. Stay tuned.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. For the next 24 to 36 hours, Storm Bram is likely to cause some problems. We have warnings in place for both wind and heavy rainfall. The storm system still down to the southwest. It's been intensifying all through the day, and the rain already setting in across the southwest of England, spreading up into parts of Wales. We've had a lot of rain here recently, so this extra rainfall, we could see 100 millimetres more rain falling over the hills, is likely to cause some problems, potential for some flooding. Warnings extending further north as the rain pushes further north. Most areas turning wet by morning time. Going to be a pretty warm night across the south and increasingly windy. So warnings in place for Tuesday for both wind and rain as this weather system steadily pushes northwards. The rain may actually start to ease across some parts of the south, but further heavy pulses over the hills of southwest England and South Wales likely to cause further issues. An awful lot of rain falling over northern England, southern Scotland for that morning rush hour. So that is likely to cause a lot of spray, a lot of surface water. And then the winds really start to strengthen. I mean, they'll pick up tonight around the coast of Wales and southwest England, but strengthening further during Tuesday. You can see the swirl, that's the low pressure, that is Storm Bram, bringing particularly gusty winds through Tuesday afternoon over Northern Ireland and then strengthening into the evening over western parts of Scotland. We'll see something a bit drier developing over parts of England and Wales, maybe even some sunny spells, and the temperatures up into 15, 16 degrees, but obviously not feeling all that mild with the rain and those winds, which probably peak in the northwest of Scotland during Tuesday evening. That's why we've got an amber warning in place here. Damaging gusts of wind 70, 80, perhaps 90 miles an hour, likely to cause some disruption. The potential for power issues, strong winds across much of northern Britain through Tuesday evening as well. For the full details of all of those weather warnings, visit the Met Office website.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We want to make the new year your best year yet, with a chance to win our greatest cash prize to date. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Treat the family to that bucket list holiday you've always fancied. Get your dream car you've always wanted. Or just relax, safe in the knowledge that the coming year is on us. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camila Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You have the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camila Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys, and tonight I name and shame the illegal migrants who raped a child months after crossing the Channel. Just stay on this for a second because the details here are absolutely horrendous. Most notably for me, that their barristers appealed to the judge to ban us from ever naming them, saying where they were from, saying that they were indeed illegal migrants. And I've got the report for you of how they were originally described at the time in the press. Horrific story all round. And
Doesn't mean getting bats and knives and stuff and going doing what they're doing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing things the right way.
shameful. A former Royal Marine who was acquitted of hate speech is now banned from coaching his daughter's football team because he's right-wing. Also,
I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff.
well, victory for Harry. You might be paying for his security after all. I've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages for you, including on the front of the Eye, the Chancellor's pension tax raid could force you to retire later. There's also a story knocking around in the Daily Telegraph, which is that apparently Labour wants you to be allowed to take 2 weeks off work if your distant uncle dies. So there you go. On my panel tonight, we have got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, Labour councillor Sebastian Salak, and Reform member, former Tory party chairman, Sir Jake Berry. And
Today I feel gay.
oh, well, you won't believe which two countries are playing in the FIFA World Cup Pride match. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. You very nearly weren't allowed to know the names, the nationality, or how these two Afghan rapists broke into Britain. But tonight, I can do all of those things, and that's happening next.
Very good evening to you. It's 2 minutes past 10 here in the GB newsroom. Our headlines. The Prime Minister has expressed optimism that a deal to release billions of pounds worth of frozen Russian assets to assist Ukraine is imminent. It comes after Sir Keir Starmer held talks with President Zelensky, along with his French and German counterparts, to discuss the latest US peace proposals. They highlighted Ukraine's need for robust security guarantees against further Russian aggression. The discussions follow US efforts to push through a peace deal, which critics say closely resembles the Kremlin's demands. Mr Zelensky has now travelled to Brussels to meet NATO and EU officials. More than £180 billion worth of Russian assets have been frozen in European banks since Vladimir Putin launched his invasion in 2022. Two 17-year-old Afghan asylum seekers have been detained for the rape of a teenage girl in May. Yan Yahanzeb was given 10 years and 8 months, with Israr Niazal on the right of your screen sentenced to 9 years and 10 months for the attack which took place in Leamington Spa. The court heard the pair led a highly distressed 15-year-old victim into a secluded parkland area before attacking her. The judge at Warwick Crown Court earlier lifted reporting restrictions, protecting the Afghans' identities because it could lead to speculation, which may see innocent people being targeted. A nurse who objected to sharing a female changing room with a transgender doctor has won part of her employment tribunal. Sandy Peggy was suspended from her job in Kirkcaldy after complaining about Dr. Beth Upton, a biological male who identifies as a woman. She was placed on special leave after the doctors made allegations against her. The tribunal upheld Miss Peggy's claim for harassment against NHS Fife, but other allegations of discrimination and victimisation were dismissed. Essex Police say they're looking into allegations that Reform UK broke election spending laws during Nigel Farage's successful campaign in Clacton. The Telegraph says former Reform councillor Richard Everett believes the party exceeded the spending limit by around £9,000, although he added he believed Mr Farage to have been blissfully unaware of it. Reform says the allegations are nonsense and the party's looking forward to clearing its name. Former Premier League footballer Joey Barton's been sentenced to 6 months in custody, suspended for 18 months for sending 6 offensive social media posts. Barton referred to the broadcaster Jeremy Vine using a slang word for a paedophile, and he compared the football pundits Lucy Ward and Eni Aluko to Rose and Fred West, the serial killers. The judge called Barton's attacks targeted, extreme and harmful, adding they were racially aggravated. Former BBC Radio 1 DJ Tim Westwood has pleaded not guilty to charges of rape, sexual assault and indecent assault. The 68-year-old appeared at Southwark Crown Court earlier to face 15 charges related to 7 women, some as young as 17 years old, which stretch back over a 33-year period. Mr Westwood, who hosted radio shows on Radio 1 between 1994 and 2013, will stand trial in 2027. And Paramount has launched a hostile takeover bid worth £81 billion for Warner Brothers in a last-ditch effort to outbid Netflix. Paramount's direct offer to shareholders would be for the whole company, including its television networks. Netflix's bid, worth £54 billion, is limited to the Warner Brothers film and television studios, HBO and its streaming service. Warner Brothers is the Hollywood giant behind Harry Potter and the Looney Tunes cartoons. Try saying that late at night. Those are your headlines. I'll be back with more at 11. Now it's over to Patrick.
Good evening. First, a warning that some of the information I'm about to share may be very distressing to some viewers. 2 illegal migrants raped a child in a park just months after breaking into Britain on a small boat. Afghan asylum seekers Jan Jahanzeb and Isra Niazal committed the horrific attack on a 15-year-old schoolgirl in a park in Leamington Spa. Now, today, they were sentenced to jail terms of 10 years and 8 months and 9 years and 10 months, respectively. Now, at the time of the attack, they were living in taxpayer-funded asylum accommodation. So you were paying for their accommodation when they went outside and they raped a schoolgirl. Again, some of the details I'm about to reveal are very graphic, but I think that they need to be heard. And as you're about to hear, well, I very nearly wasn't allowed to tell you about any of them. One of the Afghans managed to drag the girl away to a secluded area. He then rang the other Afghan and told him to come quick, where they made her perform a sex act on them. She had the presence of mind to record the start and the aftermath of that depraved attack, and a statement from her lawyer says, the video footage is of a highly distressing nature. She's heard screaming for help. She wants her friends. She wants to go home. She's heard explicitly saying, you are going to rape me, let me go. She's pleading for help from passers-by, but tragically that plea for help went unanswered. During the video, Jahanzeb is heard telling her to shush. He can be seen to put his hand over her mouth, presumably in an effort to silence her. She recalls being terrified and wanting the ordeal to be over quickly. Both illegal migrants admitted a single charge of rape of a child under 16 when they appeared before magistrates in Coventry in October. But the reason we're allowed to report on it now is because the judge has lifted reporting restrictions. The barristers for both of these Afghan child rapists had claimed that if we knew their names, their nationality and the fact that they were small boat migrants, then it might lead to widespread public disorder. Well, thankfully, the judge said that it was in the public interest for us to know what really happened and, crucially, who these monsters are. In fact, let's just have a little look at how they were originally described when they were charged. They were described in the press as two 17-year-old boys from Leamington. That's how they were described. Two 17-year-old boys from Leamington. And it turns out, of course, that those two 17-year-old boys from Leamington were actually from Afghanistan and had arrived in this country illegally on small boats before committing that horrendous attack. One of the rapists, Jahanzeb, turns 18 in less than a month and will automatically be deported after serving his sentence. He tried to get to Britain 3 times on a small boat, but failed. In fact, twice his boat was apparently slashed by the French, but he got in at the 4th attempt in January. Niazal pleaded guilty to the rape a day before he turned 17, meaning he cannot be automatically deported. In fact, his barrister even claimed that he might still be able to make a life for himself after he served his sentence. I'm going to read you the victim impact statement here from that 15-year-old victim. She said, "The day I was raped changed me as a person. I'm no longer a happy, carefree teenager. This was my first sexual experience. Now, every time I go out, I don't feel safe. This has also impacted my education and school life and the worst possible time as I'm taking my GCSEs. The thought of facing people at school makes me feel physically sick. Watching my older siblings and mum feeling crushed as they believe they should have been there or done something is particularly painful for me. I hate that I'm now looked at as a victim, even though that's exactly what I am." How many more of these cases have there been? How many will we never know about because the judge decided that they actually weren't going to lift reporting restrictions? And that's one of the key aspects to this. In how many cases has the judge decided that it was not in the public interest to know about illegal migrants raping or doing something else towards people in this country? If the truth is so awful that it might cause public unrest, the solution is to sort the problem out, not hide it from us and hope that we never find out. Let's get our thoughts on my panel. Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We have got Reform member and former Conservative Party chairman Sir Jake Berry and Labour councillor Sebastian Sala. So, Carol, lots to unpack here. Firstly, I would actually like to thank the judge in this case for, I think, doing the right thing and deeming that that this is in the public interest, that we know all of this. But how do you feel about the fact that it was, I suppose, attempted to cover up the names, the nationalities and the mode of entry into Britain from these two people?
Interesting that it was a female judge who lifted these restrictions, because she, unlike a man, might understand the impact of rape on a young woman. You know, that impact statement there, it's heartbreaking, because that's a young life ruined. That girl will never get over what has happened to her. She was a virgin when this happened to her. She will never get over this. And her mother said in her impact statement, she said, something broke in us all that day. And that's what these kind of crimes do to families. It's the victim suffers the most clearly, but it's the family around and the guilt they feel at not being able to help their daughter. It is astonishing that these two barristers, one of them is called Joshua Ratcliffe. He's the guy who said that one of the rapists might come out of prison and have a lovely life. He doesn't deserve a life because he's wrecked a life. He's wrecked a life of an innocent girl. But the fact that the barristers try to say that to make this public could cause widespread disorder, they're not getting it. They're not getting what's happened. The disorder isn't the problem. The girl's rape is the problem and what is going to happen to her. And this is why a lot of the courts aren't just getting... And you're right. How many more of these do we not know? We know that girls have been sexually assaulted. We always knew this was going to happen, and this will not be the last time. And it probably isn't the first time either. And it's time our justice system opened up and actually looked after British citizens and British people and not the people who come here illegally.
We have depressingly had several cases that have been very, very similar to this. I mean, there was one recently of an Iranian man who was found guilty, he'd been in the country not long at all, and he raped a 15-year-old girl in a park in Oxford. This keeps happening, Jake. It does keep happening.
Well, it does. I mean, of course, there's the Epping Hotel, the migrant sucking a young woman around the Epping Hotel, which we all heard so much about over the summer. this is going to keep happening as long as we have no hard border in our country, as long as people from around the world are coming here with no history, no documents, no knowledge about their background. And let's make no bones about it, lots of these people are trying to import to the UK a medieval culture when it comes to women and women's rights. You know, one we wouldn't recognise in this country, where women aren't even second-class citizens, they're third or fourth-class citizens. And it's that sort of mindset, I believe, that means that people who come to this country feel that they can behave in this way. It's completely alien to our culture. Now, guess what? There's a reason they want to come to the UK, because it is a better place to live than Iran or Afghanistan or Somalia or wherever else it may be. But that's not part of the deal. If you come to our country, number one, you should come in legally. But if you do come in illegally and you want to claim asylum funded by the British taxpayer, don't play by our rules. Come to our country, play by the laws of the country you so desperately want to come and live in.
They shouldn't have been here, those.
Of course they shouldn't have been, Carol.
Yes, Sebastian, what do you make of their barristers' attempts to have their names, their nationality and their mode of entry into the UK, basically have it, I suppose you could say, covered up about the fact that they were illegal migrants and their nationality? What do you make of the barristers' attempts to have that happen?
Well, I'm pleased that the judge said no and made that call, and we know who they are. I think it's fair that the judge did that. I'm not surprised the barristers did it. At the end of the day, their job is protecting the person that they are working for. So, of course, they're going to try and make those arguments. It's just the nature of the legal system, really. I think what's important here is that, sadly, and, you know, you talk about these attitudes being imported. Sadly, a lot of people who are born in Britain and who live in Britain and are from Britain also have those attitudes, and that is a real problem.
But trying to hide the nationality, it's cynical and it's insidious. It's not actually protecting, it's not about protecting their clients, it's about protecting the nationality of their clients. Because we know that in this country, through data, that Afghans are 22 times more likely...
Oh, no, Carol, don't use that statistic.
Yes,
no, don't do it. It's been debunked.
Well, I've done it.
OK,
I've done it.
OK, let's talk about this, because this is important. Because you've just used a number that is provably wrong. Please talk me through that number.
What do you mean, talking through the number?
So how do you reach the figure?
It's government statistic.
No, it's not a government statistic. How did you reach that figure? OK, so there are two numbers there. The first is the...
But let's concentrate on the rape of the girl, actually.
Of course, that is... Above all else, that is important, but let's not change the subject.
You're trying to take me... This is a statistic that's been repeated time and time again.
Yes, falsely.
Is it...
Falsely.
OK, so just on that, are you claiming, Sebastian, that Afghans are, in fact, no more likely to sexually assault women and girls, or are you disputing the sheer volume?
I'm specifically disputing the 20 times.
Right, so you actually are acknowledging that well, really...
What I'm saying is I don't know.
What I would accuse you there is I would accuse you maybe of splitting hairs.
Yes.
Because they are more likely, aren't they? They just might not be 20 times more likely.
We don't know. Is the point, because we don't even know how many Afghans there are in the country. That is one of the fundamental numbers you need to know to be able to reach that conclusion.
It's that kind of rationale that lets these people get away with what they're getting away with. And what this does for me now, this strengthens the argument that we should not... Nobody should... That's the second time you've been rude.
Carol, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to... Nobody should get away with rape. Anybody who rapes somebody should face justice.
This strengthens the argument for processing these people offshore. They shouldn't be... People...
Really?
People from a different culture who treat young women like meat, which these men do and have done.
Yes, exactly.
Do you understand that this has wrecked a girl's life?
Of course, of course.
What do you mean when I say men? Are you saying because they're teenagers?
No. What I'm saying is the problem is men.
The problem
is men raping women. That is an endemic in our country. Violence against women is a scourge, and that's what we have to tackle. Do not tar all asylum seekers with the same brush.
Let's deal with that, because as a man, I get quite offended when people say that the problem is men. I've never had a desire to rape a woman in my life. I've never had a desire to sexually...
Exactly. So think about how Afghans feel, who also haven't had that, but are being maligned because of it.
What I would say is, right, why is it so common then in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in parts of Sudan, in huge swathes of the Muslim world? Why is it
What I'm telling you, Patrick, is it's common here as well.
OK, not
so
quite.
I think the real question is, though, looking at this poor 15-year-old girl, is if the government had control of our borders, or alternatively, if these people who've entered the country illegally have been arrested on a beach in Kent and put in a offshore, or had been put in a camp to be processed there, would this girl have been raped? And the answer to that is no. She wouldn't have been raped by these individuals. And that tells you the really important thing about this. It isn't about this poor young girl or these appalling rapists. It's about actually a call coming out from the British people to say, these people should not be here. They shouldn't be here. They shouldn't have the chance to commit this crime, whether they're more likely to or not. They just shouldn't be here.
On that logic, then surely you would support a curfew for men.
That's
Of course it's not. Of course it's not. Because you're saying these are people are the problem, let's remove them. And I'm telling you, men are the problem. So why don't we remove them?
Well, this girl would not have been raped if these people hadn't come to this country. She wouldn't have been raped by these people.
Correct.
Her parents and the British public have a legitimate call to say they shouldn't be on us. They shouldn't be in our country, full stop. If they're here, they shouldn't be on our streets. So what I would support is a curfew for asylum seekers.
Why not all men? Why not all men?
Well, because we have a right to be in this country.
So do they. They have a right to claim asylum, Jake. You know that.
They broke into our country. They are criminals.
We're part of an international asylum system. You know this.
There are safe and legal routes to come. These people have broken into our country.
What safe and legal routes are there?
There are safe and legal routes to Afghanistan. There are safe and legal routes to Afghanistan.
To Britain? No, we closed that.
No, we didn't. In fact, you're absolutely wrong. And in fact, the Labour government has increased the number of safe and legal routes. So you're saying that the Home Secretary was lying when she stood up in the House of Commons and said there are safe and legal routes from Afghanistan? Is that your point? That Shabana Mahmood misled the House of Commons, lying, saying there were safe and legal routes? Is that your point?
If you tell me that some of those routes are still open...
Sorry.
I'm answering your question, Jake. Please have the courtesy to listen. If that's what you're telling me...
I'm not telling you, the Home Secretary told you.
I'm willing to believe you.
Oh, you're willing to believe Shabana Mahmood?
No, I'm willing to believe you. I'm willing to believe you. Please don't put words in my mouth. It's incredibly rude.
People should not be
It's incredibly rude.
But also the people who crossed these two boys who crossed the Channel, they were of an age where they could have been, and probably maybe already have been, put into schools where there are lots of young girls. These people are a danger. They do not recognise the rules, the laws, the culture of this country. And I can say that with total confidence because they took this girl and they dragged her away from her friends. That's not right. And I've got to tell you what also shocked me.
Of course it's not right.
The people...
Of course rape is wrong.
By as well. This is the other thing I can't believe. This girl was screaming for help. And people, including a woman, walked by and didn't help her. I mean, that's kind of bad. That's a blooming disgrace as well. But these men, these boys, do not follow the rules of this country and the laws of this country. They think women are meat and there for the taking. And if you're saying that's normal in this country, it's not. That is not all men.
No, it's not all men. You're right about that.
That is certain cultures.
You're right about that. But in this country, it is overwhelmingly British men who commit those awful crimes. And we have to do something about it.
Per capita, it's overwhelmingly Afghans. And the truth is, you're prepared to sit on this sofa, per capita, yes, that's a mathematical concept.
Yes, but math doesn't stop you getting raped, Jake. There are many men out there who do awful things, and I'm concerned about them, and you are apologising for them.
I'm not.
Of course you are. Of course you are, because every time I mention white British men, you start talking about Afghans again.
Well, that's what these two individuals are. Let me finish, because this is important. So I think the thing is, which I find completely wrong, and I'm sure the viewers will as well, is you're prepared to condemn the crime, this appalling crime. Of
course I am.
But you are not prepared to support anything that would see the perpetrators, these perpetrators, not come into our country, or deported, or processed offshore.
Because what I'm saying is we mustn't tar them all with the same brush.
You hate the crime, but you're not prepared to do anything about it.
Would you automatically deport both of these two now?
So the guy who's over 18, I think, right to deport him. I don't really know where the law stands among minors.
No, I'm not bothered about where the law stands. I want to know you in your heart.
Yeah.
Because a 15-year-old girl has been brutally raped.
Yeah.
So you tell me right now whether one of the blokes that raped her should be deported.
Of course.
So
if you are a foreign criminal in this country, you should be deported.
So you think both of them should be deported?
Well, I don't know about the guy who's the one because I don't know what the law is around that.
What do you mean about
what? It's about right and wrong. It's about right and wrong.
Stop. I want to get to the heart of this. I'm not going to let you weasel out of it. In your heart of hearts, do you think that the individual who is under 17 who did the raping should or should not be deported?
So I can't comment on this because I don't know the specific details on this case, but the principle is that if you commit... No, Carol, please can I just answer a question rather than you shouting over me?
Do you want to know the specific
details? If you commit a crime in this country and you're from another country and it's a serious crime, you should be deported.
Why can't you say that he should be deported? So you think that that's the specific guy, 17, should be deported? deported, yes or no?
So the one who was an adult...
Right, well, the other one. You know the one I'm talking about?
I don't know, because I don't know what the law is around children in this country.
Can I tell you what the law is? Do you really want...
Go and tell me what the law is.
The law is... This lad pleaded guilty to rape the day before he turned 70.
Yes.
Because he knew, his lawyer knew, that meant he couldn't be deported after he'd served his sentence. That's the law.
All right, well,
and it's about right and wrong, not the law. That's the truth.
Well, that's what I was trying. Yes. I was trying to just get to the core of how, of morally how we feel, because I find it often people on the left like to throw morals around, and I think morally being unable to answer a question about whether or not a 17-year-old rapist should be deported back to Afghanistan. Look, personally, I'll be honest with you, mate, I find it a bit squiffy, but yeah, there we go. Anyway, coming up, all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. Some breaking news on the front of the Telegraph. There is a teacher who's been banned for telling a Muslim child that Britain is a Christian country. Also, what's all this about?
Today I feel gay.
Yes, so apparently now there is going to be a fascinating pride match taking place at the World Cup between two very unlikely teams. All of that and much more coming your way.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Excited about this because our most successful female Olympian of all time, Dame Laura Kenny, who also happens to be a Tottenham Hotspur fan, which also makes me extremely happy as well. 5 Olympic gold medals, is with us. Hello, Laura.
Hello, how are you?
I'm really good. Lovely to see you. Listen, did you do the, of course, with all the medals and you and Jason and everything, did you ever do the actual carrying the torch?
I have never carried an Olympic torch. Nope.
That's the only Olympic thing probably you've never done, and I managed to pick up on it. What was your favourite Olympic? Because there was 3. We've got 2 medals in each. Do you have a favourite? It must be London 2012, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the most obvious one is London, right? I mean, I just think it was, as cliche as it sounds, it was a dream come true.
Oh, and on home turf as well.
It was, yeah. And I mean, I obviously grew up around there, so for me, it was just so special. I had so many people there.
At what point, is there a point though, because I love this with all sports people, and especially when there's all these amazing moments that they go through and when you retire as well, if there was one moment, if there's something or some moment, not even a race, but a part of a race, or is it a moment when you collect your first gold medal or the last one that stays with you more than anything else? What would that be?
Yeah, I think it was getting the medal, the very first medal. I mean, it was just, I felt like I was living in someone else's life. And really randomly, Paul McCartney was in there and he started singing Hey Jude. And that is like just stuck in my head because thousands of people randomly started singing Hey Jude.
My goodness.
Wow, what a story.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
All right, very shortly, newspaper front pages. A teacher has been banned, though, she's on the front of the Daily Telegraph, apparently, after telling a Muslim child that Britain is a Christian country. So banned, he's out. Can't have those kind of views. But more on that shortly. First, a former Royal Marine and Iraq veteran has been banned from coaching his daughter's football team after speaking out against illegal immigration. Jamie Michael, who was actually on the show last week, was charged with inciting racial hatred after posting a social media post in the wake of the Southport massacre. However, it took a jury just 17 minutes to acquit him of all charges. Nevertheless, his local safeguarding board have banned him from coaching his daughter's football team. Well, I'm joined now in the studio by free speech campaigner Montgomery Toms. Montgomery, thank you very much. Great to see you. What do you make of this then? People with right-wing views are being branded a danger to kids.
I mean, it's beyond insane. You know, I don't even regard it as right-wing. I just regard it as correct. But, you know, of course, I'll be branded as far-right for saying that. I mean, we can roll the clock back even like 5 years. I was in education during kind of 2020, 2021 when the lockdowns hit. And I remember when I was in school, I never wore a mask, and I pushed back around all the COVID kind of mandates. And I was branded as far-right back then, and I was a 15-year-old kid. And I remember my teachers as well, within the education system, were even challenging me. And that's not their role, is facilitate kind of conversation, debate, but instead they challenged me, and one specifically, but obviously I won't name whom, accused me of being right-wing. And even if I am right-wing, you know, what's the problem with that? But obviously the intention behind that branding is to accuse me of something bad. And the fact that young people within education or outside of education can't be kind of influenced or have a conversation around traditional right-wing principles is, in my opinion, disgusting, insane, and completely out of the remit of what is right.
I mean, normally when you think about, like, who should and should not be allowed to do things like coach a football team or be a scout leader or something, obviously you think, well, like sex criminals, that's normally who. This individual, former Royal Marine, was found not guilty. So he's literally just an innocent man, right? There was no... Whatever he was charged with there is not guilty. It's the same law that we all have to be held to account under. And he's now not allowed to coach his own daughter's football team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with the case. And again, the sad reality is it doesn't surprise me. And I think that's really depressing. And the fact that, as I reiterate, you know, young people are being sort of targeted, I think, as a group of people who need, you know, tutoring in a direction of what we would consider maybe left-wing principles is frankly outrageous. And the fact that someone of an older generation is then being told, oh, you can't work in a football team or you know, coach a football team, is anti-free speech, anti-debate, and it's quite frankly painting a picture to young people that censorship and anti-free speech is okay.
But we've had several things that have taken place. You know, in some schools they are taught all the virtues about the asylum system, and I have literally just done a segment there on 2 illegal Afghan child rapists who conceivably could have been allowed into schools with kids. You know, kids are allowed to be taught about, you know, open borders. Kids are allowed to be taught that drag queen story time is a great thing, you know. Kids are allowed to be taught about whether or not they've been born into the right bodies. I mean, we've now currently got a medical trial taking place to give puberty blockers to children as young as 10. All of that stuff is fine. That's OK. But if, like this guy, he doesn't want illegal migrants knocking around the place, now he's banned from teaching his kids' football team. It just seems a bit bizarre.
Well, it's a blatant double standard. I mean, as much as I would use the term, you know, young people are essentially at times being indoctrinated within the education system, so are the teachers. And as I say, like, I'm 20, so not long ago I was in the education system, and I can tell you, for me to bring up the idea that illegal migrants probably shouldn't, you know, necessarily be roaming the local streets of Britain, you know, I would be dubbed as a far-right extremist. Back in, you know, we're talking kind of 2020, 2021, I can't even imagine what it's like now. And I just think it's painting a picture and a reality to young people that they're terrified of pushing back to what I don't consider right-wing views. I consider to just be truth and reality and, like, as you guys say, common sense. This is not like anti-right-wing. This is anti-freedom and anti-common sense. That's my perspective. It's not like a left and right debate. It's just freedom.
Well, it's sinister, isn't it? It's not free speech, is it? Because what he said wasn't criminal. We know that.
Of course.
And so to ban him for it is probably one of the most anti-free speech things that you can do.
But sadly, all too common.
Yeah. And again, the other aspect, we haven't got time to get into this now, but the other aspect is it sends a message to the kids, because, you know, it's not just the parents are going to find out about it. The kids are going to be like, oh, where is so-and-so today? Well, he's not allowed to talk to you because he doesn't believe that illegal migrants should be able to wander the streets. It sends that message to them. But Montgomery, thank you very much. Absolute pleasure to see you. Montgomery Toms there, of course. Right now, as spokesperson for the Cwmtaf Morgannwg Safeguarding Board, which is this place in Wales, which I've probably mispronounced, so apologies for that. They might ban me now. But anyway, so the Safeguarding Board and its multi-agency partners take its responsibilities very seriously. It would be inappropriate for the board or its partners to comment any further at this time. And GBNews obviously did approach the Welsh Football Association for comment. They have not responded. Right, in just a second or two, I have got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. There are some corkers out there breaking on the front page of of The Telegraph. A teacher has been banned after telling a Muslim child that Britain is a Christian country. In other news as well, apparently Labour are perfectly happy for you to take 2 weeks off work if a distant uncle dies, one that you've never even really spoken to. I don't understand how they want anyone to get into work at all now. More on that next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
The unsettled conditions arriving across the UK tomorrow will also be influencing other western areas of the Mediterranean. In fact, the rain band will extend all the way down into parts of northwestern Spain, Portugal and Madeira. Central areas of the Mediterranean, though, faring off best with some fairly decent fine and calm conditions, but we do have further showers across the far east, particularly around areas of Cyprus. For many areas, though, the week ahead does look generally dry and sunny.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. For the next 24 to 36 hours, Storm Bram is likely to cause some problems. We have warnings in place for both wind and heavy rainfall. The storm system still down to the southwest. It's been intensifying all through the day, and the rain already setting in across the southwest of England, spreading up into parts of Wales. We've had a lot of rain here recently, so this extra rainfall, we could see 100 millimetres more rain falling over the hills, is likely to cause some problems, potentially for some flooding. Warnings extending further north as the rain pushes further north. Most areas turning wet by morning time. Going to be a pretty warm night across the south and increasingly windy. So warnings in place for Tuesday for both wind and rain as this weather system steadily pushes northwards. The rain may actually start to ease across some parts of the south, but further heavy pulses over the hills of southwest England and South Wales likely to cause further issues. An awful lot of rain falling over northern England, southern Scotland for that morning rush hour. So that is likely to cause a lot of spray, a lot of surface water. And then the winds really start to strengthen. I mean, they'll pick up tonight around the coast of Wales and southwest England, but strengthening further during Tuesday. You can see the swirl, that's the low pressure, that is Storm Bram, bringing particularly gusty winds through Tuesday afternoon over Northern Ireland and then strengthening into the evening over western parts of Scotland. We'll see something a bit drier developing over parts of England and Wales, maybe even some sunny spells, and the temperatures up into 15, 16 degrees, but obviously not feeling all that mild with the rain and those winds, which probably peak in the northwest of Scotland during Tuesday evening. That's why we've got an amber warning in place here. Damaging gusts of wind 70, 80, perhaps 90 miles an hour, likely to cause some disruption. The potential for power issues, strong winds across much of northern Britain through Tuesday evening as well. For the full details of all of those weather warnings, visit the Met Office website.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
All right, welcome back. Let's give you the first look at tomorrow's newspaper front pages, and we start this round with the Daily Telegraph. So, lots going on the Daily Telegraph's front page. Boat migrants smuggling heroin, so gangs offer free crossings to asylum seekers if they carry drugs. They've also got take a week off if your distant cousin dies. Workers will be entitled to a week off to mourn the death of a distant family member under proposals being considered by ministers. There's one at the bottom here, though. Teacher banned for basically telling a Muslim child that Britain is still a Christian country. It appears that teacher has lost their job. I've got more on that for you shortly. We'll go to the Independent now. Britain under attack from Putin's cyber army, says Yvette Cooper. Starmer's hosted Zelensky and other European allies today in Downing Street for a peace summit. Apparently there's escalating attacks on critical national infrastructure by Russia. The Daily Mail. Head of the Navy's broadside at Reeves over defence cash. The First Sea Lord warns that Russia is spending billions to control the North Atlantic as the Treasury starves forces, basically saying that we are at risk of ceding control of the North Atlantic. Let's zone in on a story that's on the front of the Telegraph. Teacher banned after telling a Muslim child that Britain is a Christian country. It's a primary school teacher. He was referred to his local child protection board over comments that made to the pupil at a school in London. A senior detective from the Metropolitan Police's child abuse investigation team also became involved. Jay, what do you make of all of this?
Well, the first thing is it's a complete and utter waste of the police's time. It's completely outrageous that they have become involved. You know, on the face of it, and, you know, the Telegraph's got quite a lot more detail, a statement of fact that Britain remains an Anglican country with the king as head of its church is just true. And it was part of a lesson that the teacher gave, saying part of the values of Britain is being a tolerant society and respecting and recognising other faiths. This shows, I think this particular case shows how far Britain has fallen in terms of our pride and our self-confidence in terms of our own national culture. It strikes me as completely wrong.
So I've got just what's reported here. According to the child who made the complaint, the teacher told them that the school was not a religious one, but that there was an Islamic school a mile away if they wished to attend it instead. Apparently he also said to them, Britain is still a Christian state, and pointed out that the king is the head of the Church of England. So that's at least a partial picture of what's gone on there. Carol, what do you make of that?
Well, it's what Jake says. You know, this teacher has been fired for telling the truth. You know, after the incident of the feet washing, the teacher tried to explain.
Just explain what that is. Sorry. So just in terms of the feet washing.
Have we not done that already?
Sorry, no. I probably should have done actually. So apparently, students were washing their feet in the sinks in the boys' lavatories. Yeah. The assumption there would be that it's part of one of the rituals that many Muslims will perform before prayers, right? So there you go, yeah.
So after this feet washing incident, the teacher tried to talk to the whole class, and he tried to explain the importance of British values and of tolerance, and he said that Islam was still a minority religion. He also pointed out that this was a non-faith school, and everything in that is true. It's not, you know, we've got to, you know, we seem to be terrified of offending anyone that is involved with Islam, and we don't care about offending other religions, but Islam seems to, it's ring-fenced from any kind of criticism. It is not an Islamic school. It is a non-faith school. And if you remember Catherine Birbalsingh, who runs that amazing school in London, the Michaela
Academy,
she went to court over this because some girls were in the playground and they were having prayer 3 or 4 times a day. And she said, no, we're not having that at all in this school. And she won that court case. And it was, and this guy is going to be persecuted now. He probably won't have a work again because idiots will be terrified.
What do you make of the way that they've come down on this particular teacher by the looks of things? Got police involved initially anyway. Yeah, I mean, and essentially, from what we can gather anyway, he's been banned. He's been banned from teaching.
Yeah, it feels a bit heavy-handed, doesn't it, just reading the story through. I mean, you would hope that if they're going to take this kind of approach to children from Muslim backgrounds, they would have a broad secular approach and make sure that that is even for people of any religion, as they do in France. Not necessarily something I agree with, but you would just hope that the consistency is there and that all children can feel comfortable attending this school.
Yeah. Well, so the teacher's launched a legal claim against the local authority, and what he's arguing, or his lawyers are arguing, is that the school is a non-faith school, that prayers had been informally banned from the playground, and that by extension would have included feet washing in the sinks. And apparently the prayers were confined to a prayer room that was set aside for the purpose. So there you go. That is what they are. That is what they are saying now. Can we just whiz ourselves on to? It's also on the front of the Telegraph. But it's take a week off if your distant cousin dies. They've gone for the headline there. So this is in relation to Sir Keir Starmer's workers' rights bill. Could grant employees a week's leave following the deaths of in-laws, cousins, uncles, and nieces.
Canaries, budgerigars, parrots.
So I take it from your response there, you are assuming this is going to be abused.
Well, It's not that. It's basically all of these things around the Employment Rights Bill, or the Unemployment Rights Bill, as I think we will end up calling it, because I think it would lead to lots of people losing their job. It's nothing to do with business. It's the fact that Keir Starmer is basically Prime Minister at the whim of the unions in the Parliamentary Labour Party. This is about buying Labour MPs off for their support so he can stay as the most unpopular Prime Minister in Britain's history. So I think this goes too far. I think quite a lot of the other reforms go too far. And the other thing that we had from the Labour Party today is that employers are going to be obliged, I think, every 12 months to write to every single one of their staff members and tell them that they can join a trade union. Now, trade unions are not charities, they're businesses. They charge for their membership. They make lots of money. They give lots of money to the Labour Party. This is just damaging business to keep Keir Starmer in place, and I think it's the wrong thing to do for British.
Well, Sebastian, what do you make of this? I mean, it seems to be that one of the options is that it would just be for immediate family, all right? But apparently another option is that it can include extended family, blended families or close friends that you would get a week off for, basically.
Yeah, I mean, just reading it here, it's talking about leave for the deaths of in-laws, cousins, uncles and nieces. And I think everybody at home, many people at home, would have experienced the death of one of those people and found it understandably really distressing. I think having the compassion to give someone in your team the week off to be able to grieve is a really sensible thing, and it just is part of a wider rebalancing, isn't it, of giving workers more dignity that they're due. They work so hard, and it's about giving them that.
Carol?
Is there some reason why that if you're grieving or you're sad that someone's died, you can't actually work? You know, if everyone in this country decided to take a week off because someone in their family, someone from a blended family, one of their friends had died, no one would ever be at work. This is nonsense.
Well, family members don't die every day, do they?
Well, but I'm sorry, when you get to...
And when they do, it's quite sad.
They don't die every day, but multiply
it can be quite traumatic to lose someone you love, and I think giving people a bit of time off...
You just told me not to interrupt you. When you multiply that by multi-millions in this country, you will have people dying somewhere with some families every single week. And then if all of those people take a week off, how is this country supposed to prosper?
Have you worked in an office before?
Of course I've worked in an
office. OK, sorry, I genuinely didn't know the answer to that.
Yes.
When you worked in an office, did somebody's relative die every week?
No, but that's an office of maybe 50 people, Seb.
Okay.
That's not in a country of multi-millions. So I'm talking about multiply that and think about the effect that will have on business. You're being incredibly naive, first of all, in saying that, but also in imagining this won't be abused, because it will be abused.
All right. Well, look, I'm somewhere... Les Dennis is out there, desperate to make a mother-in-law joke here. I won't do it, because my mother-in-law actually watches this show and we get on really well.
I think you mean Les Dawson.
Les Dawson, not Les Dennis.
It's such an easy mistake to make, isn't it?
Fair enough, Either one of them. Okay. Sorry, either, Les, if you're watching. Anyway, right, coming up as well, we've got loads more, but I just want to tell you about this. It's the Great British Giveaway. It's about the amount of money I'm going to have to pay Les Dennis in libel fees. It's £85,000. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
This is your chance to become our biggest cash prize winner to date, with an incredible £85,000 to be won. That's right, £85,000 in totally tax-free cash could be making its way from our bank account to yours. It would be like having over £7,000 per month extra to play with, each month for a whole year. That could be you, with your feet up, safe in the knowledge that 2026 is on us. £85,000 is a massive amount of money, and it could be yours. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, find out why FIFA's Pride match at the World Cup has descended into such a farce.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Now, funeral directors have warned that coffins are becoming too large to be cremated as Britain's obesity crisis simply balloons. Wider caskets, extra pallbearers and bigger furnaces are now being used, with the industry saying that the rising size of the population is creating serious challenges. Well, experts now predict an estimated 3.3 million cases of adult excess weight by 2040, and it's having a huge impact on the funeral director's business. Let's speak to one now. I'm joined by the funeral director, Lee Solomon. Lee, thanks for joining us on the show. So people are now becoming too fat to fry, and you've had to come up with a novel solution to this problem.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a novel solution. If someone comes into our care and they are a larger person, then we do get a larger coffin manufactured for them. So when they come into our care, one of the first things that we do is we measure the size of our residents. And if they are a larger person, we do what we class as a bariatric coffin, which is a larger size coffin, which we get made to measure for them. If a family comes into our care and says, oh, we want our loved one to have their service at Yardley, but they're larger than 29 inches, they'd have to have their service at Yardley brought back into our care, taken to Sutton, where the cremation would happen.
So supersized coffins are sent to Sutton because they can fit into the crematorium. Am I correct in saying, Lee Solomon, that sometimes you've bolted two coffins together to get one supersized cadaver inside?
We've never gone to. I've never done that myself. I don't know about other funeral directors, but we get all of our coffins manufactured to the size of the person, so they're made to measure.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
All right, welcome back. The remaining front pages for tomorrow for you. The Times go with deal to unlock £100 billion for Ukraine within days. We've got the Express, leave no stone unturned for the grooming gangs probe. I believe that was a Cammy Bade not quite from earlier on. The Guardian, a critical moment. European leaders rally around Ukraine. The Mirror as well go for Southport families' courage. Together we pull light out of darkness. The Sun, England star in headbutt arrest. Ivan Toney held after 1 a.m. club brawl. Now, it's the first time hearing of that, and that has got active case written all over it, so I'm going to leave that one there. But sticking with the football theme in a way, just when you thought that pride politics couldn't get any more ridiculous, there's going to be a dedicated pride match at the World Cup next summer. So Egypt are going to take on Iran, two countries where homosexuality is illegal. It's left FIFA officials in a very sticky situation. Begs the question whether they should instead maybe just stick to the football rather than doing anything under the sun to signal inclusivity. Look, call me silly, but I think that if you were going to decide that you're going to do a pride match at the World Cup, you'd wait for the fixtures to be drawn and then decide, you know, do it like Spain versus Portugal or something. Don't go for Iran-Egypt.
Why is FIFA getting involved in it's politics, isn't it? And why are they getting involved in it? Because they're only going to get criticism for it from one side or the other.
But looking back, in 1966, the last time Britain won the World Cup, homosexuality was illegal in this country. So I think, actually, I think I disagree with you, Carol. I think there is an opportunity for things like World Cups to try and drive forward the agenda.
They've messed it up. They've
fluffed it. It's very ham-fisted.
Yes.
But I do. I'm not. I do actually think that we have to understand that nations, their attitudes develop at different rates, and so it doesn't feel that long ago.
The slight concern I have is that it was either last year or the year before that there was some attempt to do something very similar in the Premier League, and there were numerous players who got into a bit of trouble for it. One is Mark Gay, who plays for England, he's a centre-back, who wrote "Jesus loves you" on a rainbow armband, got in a bit of trouble for without, I think, ultimately no punishment. There was another situation with Manchester United players where, because they had a Muslim player in their team, Mazraoui, they decided not to wear a rainbow jacket for the warm-up. So they showed solidarity with him because of his belief. So I can see what's going to happen here, which is that probably the Iranians and the Egyptians just aren't going to take part in the Pride.
Exactly. Yeah, have they said anything?
No.
I can't imagine either government would be too thrilled about this.
No, not the Ayatollah especially. Yes. I mean, it's not going to have... Just seems like a ridiculous thing. You're going to have this fictional Pride match at which neither team takes part in any of the Pride events. I don't know. Anyway, we'll watch. We've got a year and a bit to find out, haven't we? I suppose. But there we go. Right. Look, I'm bang up for the next show here, which is all of these newspaper front pages, but in much more detail, where we get stuck into it all for you. There's a lot coming out as well. Not just about, of course, Ukraine as well. 100 billion quid for Ukraine being unlocked. The head of the Navy has said that we're going to lose the Antarctic. There's an interesting story on the Daily Mail, which is question marks as to whether or not Hugh Edwards is about to attempt a comeback. Yeah, I know.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. For the next 24 to 36 hours, Storm Bram is likely to cause some problems. We have warnings in place for both wind and heavy rainfall. The storm system still down to the southwest. It's been intensifying all through the day, and the rain already setting in across the southwest of England, spreading up into parts of Wales. We've had a lot of rain here recently, so this extra rainfall, we could see 100 millimetres more rain falling over the hills, is likely to cause some problems, potential for some flooding. Warnings extending further north as the rain pushes further north. Most areas turning wet by morning time. Going to be a pretty warm night across the south and increasingly windy. So warnings in place for Tuesday for both wind and rain as this weather system steadily pushes northwards. The rain may actually start to ease across some parts of the south, but further heavy pulses over the hills of southwest England and South Wales likely to cause further issues. An awful lot of rain falling over northern England, southern Scotland for that morning rush hour. So that is likely to cause a lot of spray, a lot of surface water. And then the winds really start to strengthen. I mean, they'll pick up tonight around the coast of Wales and southwest England, but strengthening further during Tuesday. You can see the swirl, that's the low pressure.